Guys, welcome back. What a day it has been for Bitcoin. Very interesting news. We had Michael Saylor selling over 3,500 Bitcoin and then Trump announcing some very important news. Of course, Bitcoin very volatile today. Let's get straight into it. Bitcoin, we know it broke out of our falling wedge pattern, which of course is a bullish pattern, right? It usually breaks to the upside towards the bottom here of the range, and we did break it to the upside, target being always the top of the range. And this is where I'm still targeting. Like I said yesterday, the target for me, July, we know July is very positive usually for Bitcoin, especially in bear markets, and especially when May and June have been negative. And we had 5% down in May, we had 20% down in June, and I think July will be positive overall after, of course, that having a kind of, this is now a relief, and then we'll have kind of a dump to the downside, completing the bear market sometime in October. So let me put the charts here on the lines and see what has been happening. Well, yesterday I said that I expect we can go here and find a retest and then go higher, and it looks like that is happening right now, and I still think we will go higher. It looks right now on the 4-hourly that we are breaking above this crucial level of previous support. You can see this is previous support right here, previous support right here, and also previous resistance like here. So it's an important level, and this level is of course around about $63,500. Now what has happened here? This is the big event. We actually went down all the way to, let me calculate the drawdown that we had. We went down like almost 4% for Bitcoin. And well, what was the reason? Michael Saylor's strategy sold 3,588 Bitcoin for total gains of $260 million. Why? Well, they were funding the dividends on the digital credit security. So they have something called STRC, which is a preferred stock, and they have to pay dividends on these, right? So that is the fear that everyone had, and they had to sell Bitcoin now. Of course, it is a publicly traded company, and yes, they have to pay dividends. MicroStrategy has now over 843,775 Bitcoin left, so plenty of Bitcoin left. But of course, the news that we all were dreading, it happened, and they might sell more, of course. And if they sell more, Bitcoin will have another correction. But well, after that, actually, Bitcoin had a big bounce back to the upside, back towards these levels, which I think will continue. And the reason is that President Trump says that Trump accounts could include Bitcoin. So what is the Trump accounts? It's actually, it launched just, I think 2 days ago on the 4th of July, so on the 250th anniversary of the US. So if you're from the US, happy 4th of July. And basically, eligible US citizens born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 receive a one-time $1,000 contribution from the US Treasury. So basically, they receive $1,000 once they're born, and then the families can contribute up to $5,000 per year after tax dollars into this fund. And once the child turns 18, they can withdraw this money, and this is taxed as ordinary income. Now, it has started. I think already 6 million children have been registered to receive, and I think this is a great program. And think about it. The government is basically pumping the stock market in this way. They're giving every child $1,000. This money is invested in the markets. It's good for the markets. That money grows to many thousands of dollars by the time the child is 18. And that is a very good thing. You just don't touch the money for 18 years. It grows, it compounds over years. And that is the best way to invest, in my opinion, anyways. And then after that, once the money is being taken out, taxes are being paid. 50% of that is being taxed. Whatever the income is, it's being taxed. Money goes straight back to the government. So I think it's an amazing program that is being done by President Trump. And he said that Bitcoin could be included in the Trump accounts. More than 70 million American children are eligible for these accounts. And of course, that is bullish, massively bullish news for Bitcoin, eliminating the Saylor bearish news, bringing us back here to $63,500. Next target, of course, is this top of the range right here. Previous resistance right here, previous resistance right there as well. So I think the next target is kind of $65,000 region, which we could be going to next. And keep in mind, guys, we are in a bear market, right? If I zoom out here, we can see this. We're in a bear market. We're in this falling, consolidating wedge pattern, which usually breaks it to the upside. So this is the same pattern that we can see here on the 4-hourly. Same exact pattern. It breaks it to the upside, just on a much larger time frame, which just indicates we are coming towards the end of the bear market. We know that the bear market usually, it has historically always lasted around about 12 months. It has been 365 days down, and it has been approximately 3 years, or approximately 1,065 days up. And it's really crazy how this really repeats every single cycle. And I think that's the only thing you really need to know. I say it many times, you don't really need to watch Bitcoin on a daily, because I don't think you need to trade it really. Best thing to do is just buy it somewhere on the bottom and hold it for 3 years. And this theory will bring us to approximately October, I think 5th of October 2025 we had the top. So approximately 5th of October of 2026 we'll have the bottom again. So I'm basically just waiting for that to happen. And I think we can, along the way, have this pump here in July. This is what I said yesterday, somewhere to the $70,000 region. And then we have another big correction, bringing us down somewhere in the 50s in October. That's when we start buying. And that's pretty much the strategy summed up for you guys. That's all you need to know, really. So we can see right here, Bitcoin has fully recovered from Saylor selling $225 million worth of Bitcoin, all thanks to Trump. So Saylor announced the Bitcoin sale, and then later in the day, just a few hours later, Trump says that Bitcoin could be included in the Trump account, pushing Bitcoin even higher. Now, let's look at the liquidation heat map quickly. We grabbed some of that liquidity on the move to the downside. This is, of course, just people that have been longing. Right now, they're getting liquidated on the move down. And that is a very healthy thing to see. I love to see that. And that is always a pullback like this on a move to the upside is actually a great thing to see, because if we don't see a pullback and we just, one second, what happened there? If we don't see a pullback and we just go up in one direction, I am much more worried, because then a big pullback is coming soon. But seeing pullbacks along the way, like we see right here, is a very reassuring thing. And I'm happy to see that. So I think we can continue the move to the upside. But keep in mind, we're a big cluster of liquidity here, all the way at like $57,500, which will be hit. It's almost guaranteed they will be hit. These clusters most of the time get hit, and it's not very far away. I mean, it's basically just below these range lows here. And I think we can go there. Once we retest the 70s, we can go and touch and grab all of this liquidity at around $57,000. Now, on top of this, just to highlight, look at this, guys. The Bitcoin bear markets have been 80% down in 2015. Then we had 84% down in 2018. If we go to the last bear market, we went down a bit less, like 76%. So every single cycle, the returns to the downside are less, like the drawbacks are less, but also the moves to the upside are less, as Bitcoin is becoming a more mature asset. And right now we're down about like, I think, what is it, like 50%, but I think we could be going down to like 60%. So bringing us to about $50,000. So I don't think the bottom is in yet. And on top of this, we just crossed below the 200 weekly moving average. And usually we find a bottom somewhere below the 200 weekly moving average line. Just the price over the last 200 weeks, guys. Yes, we crossed below, but we are above it. Again, I can show this to you guys on the charts again. If I go on the weekly and I just put the moving averages here, this is the 200 weekly moving average line. We can see historically, we always find a bottom somewhere close to this line in the bear market. And we did, let me remove the line. We did go below the 200 weekly, but we're reclaiming it again to the upside. I think eventually, like I said, if this pattern plays out where we retest, go down, we'll find a bottom somewhere below the 200 weekly, and same thing as we did every single cycle. Look, we had a big cluster below the 200 weekly. Here we also dipped below the 200 in COVID, and we retested it earlier the year. And even the cycle in 2015, we went below the 200 weekly. So history does rhyme. Now, last thing to note, guys, if I look here on this cycle, and this is the last cycle, and I just put the Fibonacci extension lines. Some of you might have seen this chart already. Last cycle, this is basically where we are right now, and this is where we were last cycle. So the same point in time, we had one more big correction to the downside, which I'm expecting here over the next 2 to 3 months. One more big flush out after July, and then forming the bottom for Bitcoin. Usually we trade for some time along the bottom, and I think we can trade around the low 50s to high 40s for some time, maybe a month or so along the bottom. And that's the perfect time to accumulate Bitcoin, guys. Last time we actually went to the 0.786 Fibonacci, which would bring us to about $40,000, which I don't think will happen. It could happen, but most importantly, let's just wait a few more months until October, and then we reevaluate the situation, buy some Bitcoin, may potentially put a long position on a low leverage. Keep that in mind, low leverage. I don't want anyone to get liquidated here. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed it, love the insights, and I love making the videos for you guys. See you tomorrow, and bye.